Hey everyone, welcome to another video in our AI adoption series. And today's is a bit different. Today have Sapan with us. He's our co-founder at Incubite, and we have a very interesting topic to talk about, and that is related to how developers are onboarded to projects. Uh, I know every developer has their own pain points, and I'm sure Sapan, you as a founder have encountered a bunch of those as well. So why don't you talk about what's your experience been like with onboarding?
Thanks a lot, Abhishek. And I think it's not about just problem with onboarding. As a founder or uh, let's say leader of a large team, one of the things that we fear is what if all of us started using AI and started making large scale code changes, right? Of course, we started using AI a couple of years back. We started it with Copilot and maybe automatically generating commit messages. Now we use MCPs. But let's imagine someone is at the same place who wants to adopt AI and they want to adopt it with highest impact tasks first. So what can we do, right? And I think forget about onboarding for a few minutes. You do development day in, day out. Tell me, what do you spend your time doing the most? As a software developer, where does your primary time go?
Just reading things, either code or documentation, and trying to find
Right?
things basically.
Exactly. And I think a lot of people end up thinking that, hey, as developers, most that we do, if we are given 100% of time, 80% of the time we are actually typing code. But if you look at it, really 80% of the time we are scrolling code. We are just going up and down in files, trying to make sense of so much code, trying to understand what's going on and all, right? So I think what I wanted to talk about today, and maybe we can figure it out, how AI can make our life easier. I think AI is there to, of course, everyone thinks to make us faster. I think it's there to make things clearer and provide clarity. And I think that's what we want to do. If you are a new company or if you are a new team which wants to adopt AI, what are the lowest risk but highest impact areas? And that's what we want to do. Because of Copilot and because of some of the tools, people really think of it as a very, uh, how do I say it? People imagine it to be a overhyped code auto completer, like as if I'll write code, I'll tell it to write code and it'll write a lot of code. But I think it can do a lot more than just that. That being said, I know that you have set up your workspace with some source code. Why don't we walk through it and maybe we can have a conversation about it?
Yep. Let me share my screen and let us get started. So what I have here is the DocuSign repository. I have just cloned it locally and I have Claude running on the site. And this was something that is very new to me. I want to know more about what this repo is, maybe find out if I can contribute to it. The only thing I know so far is that it's an open source alternative to DocuSign. Uh,
Okay. So what you're saying is this is like a simulation of you onboarding in a new team or a new source code, is it?
yes.
All right. So what's our next step? What do we plan to do?
Okay, I have a couple of user commands created. So I'm going to run one of them. And while this runs, maybe we can take a quick look at what the prompt has, what the user command has in it.
Okay. So what you're saying is that you have created, go ahead, open that. But I think what you're saying is that as you ran this as a command here, it's still a prompt that you have pre-configured it in the repository, is
Yep,
it?
yep. So just to
Okay.
make it easier for anyone in future who wants to onboard with this project, they can also use something like this and get onboarded quickly.
Okay. And Oh, so what you're saying is that you have saved this prompt and put it inside the repository only, so that if you can push it, everyone else in future can get the same prompts as well.
Yep,
Wow.
yep,
So this is not just a way of making yourself like this is not just a way of giving all ourselves a shortcut of running a prompt, but actually almost a standardization effort that okay, these are a few prompts that we can always use in future as well. Sounds
yes.
awesome. And for
Yep.
Claude, which directory did you store it in?
So for Claude, we have the .claude/commands directory. This is where
Okay.
all of us can add our user commands, and anything we add, it can be used across the board. So anyone in future, if I commit this, can use this.
Awesome. Makes sense. Let's have a look at the prompt then. Do you want to
Yeah,
put? I see that it's a
yeah.
little
Let me put it
smaller.
in
Yeah,
this.
that's
Let me zoom in
awesome.
a bit as well. So what I have here is a simple. Uh, I've just given it some context. Then what position I am and what I'm trying to learn about. And the first thing was knowing the business context. And I'm sure you know how we always jump to the code as devs, and to get a more holistic view, it's very important to know the business side of things, how the product or how the how that tool is solving a problem. So this is trying to get that context.
Context. Agreed. I think this is a very nice one. So what you're saying is that in this prompt, we're just going to search the internet, scrape the website, and try to understand just the business itself, and not necessarily. We're not talking yet about code or anything else.
Yep, yep. And as you can see, as we are talking about it, Claude is actually going through different
Web
resources
pages
related
and
to, yeah, DocuSeal,
perfect.
and trying to fetch all the information.
This makes actually so much sense because I remember working with a lender, like a lending bank, and remember creating software for them. And they had this term, they would keep calling it repo, REPO. And for us as a developer, it always means something else. When I talk about repo, I really mean code repositories, right?
Yep.
And it actually took me a little bit time uh, to understand that repo for the lender meant repossession when they go ahead and repossess someone's property. Uh, and unfortunately, what seems to happen is that when a new developer joins, I think everyone around them is always like talking in this language and assuming and expecting that the new people will also know the business context and the domain language. So I think this sounds fantastic. Let's oh wow, and it's now searching Y Combinator. Awesome.
Yeah. So one of the problems that you mentioned, like even I have faced multiple times working within healthcare in my early days, I had no clue about different terminologies or very basics. So
Mm.
that actually gave me the idea that why not start outside, and then eventually we'll go in and try to understand things.
Better. Once again, I do remember like recording so many brown bag sessions or creating documentation just for new developers to get them onboarded. So it
Yep.
does make sense. And I do see it searching internet, which means that it's a little bit better than documentation because it's less likely to be outdated. So it would at least have things which are recent in nature.
Yep.
I also see, I think this is one of the things that I really wanted to highlight as well, that when we think of your AI co-pilots, we are always thinking of writing code, but I see in the prompt on the left that we're telling it to use the GitHub CLI tool. We're telling it to fetch any relevant public repositories, documentation, search internet, any news article, press releases. Wow. So it can go and do a lot more than just looking into your code. And from what it looks like, it has not even seen or it has not yet even gone through the code, is it?
Yeah, it has not touched the code. It looked at the repository itself, but only for README. And as we talk about it, it has created the doc. For now, I'm just going to go ahead and save it. Should
Okay.
we take a quick look at it?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see what it came up with.
Yeah. So I had asked it to put it in the desktop. Let me open the preview. Let's put it here. Okay. So this is very new information and there's a lot of it. So let's take a quick look and go through this.
Wow.
Actually, while we go through this, I do have some next steps planned. And since
Okay.
Claude will take a little bit of time, maybe let me go ahead and run that.
Okay.
So the next step for us is going to be the onboard internal view, and we'll take a look at the prompt in a little bit.
Okay.
But for now, let's review this one.
So I think first prompt was external view, and now you have written internal view.
Internal
I
view,
see that. So
yes.
let's have a look at what we have on the left first, and then maybe jump into the details of what is internal view doing. This is wonderful because I do see a lot of time when we write software, developers hop on to these uh, almost coding assignments, but a lot of time they tend to forget what their primary target looks like, who are their end users.
Yeah,
Um this is really good. And
yeah,
what
and
problem it solves for their customers. That's very nice. Can you
yeah.
scroll down a little bit? The value proposition.
So it's almost like a nice pitch on, and any person being onboarded to a team, they'll feel, okay, this is real and this is what I'll be contributing to. So I really like this section. The core pain points addressed does seem like they have, it has also found out and added the business model, which
Wow.
sometimes as devs we kind of lose track of and we just focus on the tech, which is, not the right way to go about. But yeah, having this information out of the gate will help me whenever I have a conversation, give better inputs and think about things more clearly.
So true. So true. I think it also helps. Of course, it's still onboarding phase, but I do see information like this helps developers rise above uh, KPIs or KRS. That sounds like I still hope that, I hope that there are no other there are no companies in world now, uh, companies in world which are measuring development productivity by line of code. But uh, yeah, if there are people who are doing surface superficial measures, information like this would help developers rise above some superficial KPIs. That you would actually care about how to help make money and how to
Yeah.
what is it that how does the company actually generate revenue? So very nice. What do we have? Let's have a quick look at this and
The
then
pro
do tell us what's your next prompt. I see a lot of
Yes.
things happening on the right side as well. So
Yep.
let's
Yep.
quickly have a
So I think in terms of what else is remaining, it has mentioned what kind of features we have, and then a market positioning, and then some metrics where it has added stats from GitHub. Uh,
awesome. I think I also love the point about features. A lot of time what developers end up doing is the domains that they are creating and the language that they're using in their source code a lot of time doesn't map directly with the features that are published on their website. So I think doing something like this would also help adopting the same language across the entire organization. So when a marketing person says something, it means the exact same thing from marketing to, let's say, a software development intern who recently joined. So I think looks very high level, but something like this definitely in future would align all the domains and design together as well. That's quite awesome.
yeah, yeah. Gives everyone the same things to talk about in the same
Vocabulary,
language. Yeah.
same
Okay.
language. Yeah, that's quite
Let
awesome.
me go to the next prompt. It has been doing a
Hmm.
bunch of things on the side. So let's take a quick look here. Um, Let me very quickly talk about what the purpose of this was and why specifically these links are mentioned. Uh, so as DocuSign is hosted on GitHub and it has all the uh, information in the public domain, I've intentionally shared those doc links here and asked the agent or the LLM to go through them and find me relevant information on how this app actually works. A very basic overview of it. Uh, but yeah, if in other cases, this can be your Confluence, your Jira, anything. But yes, because we have all of these things, you can see that it's trying to fetch all of the info. Also looking at a little bit of code. So this is the first time it has started looking at code now, just to figure out high level stuff. As you can see, it's just looking at the routes and the README file.
Wonderful. So it's trying to take the external information that we had, then the internal information and different documentation and issues and release documentation, pull requests, and try to put everything together in terms of where does each module sit, it seems.
Yep, yep. The focus, I'm hoping the output that we get from this will be a nice overview of the user journey and how that journey connects to the business goals. So those are the things that I've specifically called out with some examples here. Uh, and yeah, hopefully once Claude has run through all of that information, it can generate
Wow.
a useful doc for us. And there is one last step after this, uh, which will be about code. Uh, and as we talk about it, it just created the doc. Let me
Right
go
on
ahead and
time, it seems.
save it.
Right on
Yes,
time.
exactly on time. Let me open that on the side and I'll fire off the next prompt while we review this internal view documentation. Okay. Okay. So we have the preview open here and seems like Claude did a really nice job. But before I go into this doc, let me fire off the last command on this onboarding journey. That will be our code base view and we'll take a look at it again once we are done reviewing. Where it looks like it did map, did create the core user journeys. First one is about the primary user flow. It also mapped it to the routes. That's why it was looking at the routes file and not specifically just the route, but the exact action it's going to hit. Template creation, submission configuration, document processing, tracking and management. Okay. So this seems to be the primary user flow. Nice. From sending to tracking and management. And then there's a secondary flow where we have
Wow.
the document access, form completion. Okay, so how
You may want
those,
to hit yes.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
One useful tip here, if you are doing this, you can run Claude in yellow mode. I have not done that in this video, but if you don't want to keep hitting this, you can. There's a yellow Y or you only make once, but not the safest option. Uh, okay, so next secondary flow is for document signer and recipient completion from. You can download it as well, and then it has also added a API integration workflow, which I did see on the README. That was a big part of DocuSign, how they can integrate with different setups. There's also self-hosting setup, and then this is insights from the dev activity. Okay, it did create a how it has evolved recently. Signing papers from the pages. Oh wow, this part is really impressive because not only did it create the recent change log, a very high level summary of it, but also tells me what are the pain points and what things I can focus on and then try to prioritize. Looks like there has been a bunch of issues open related to how the docs are managed and making this workflow more efficient. So
Efficient. This is
yeah,
unbelievable. I see there are two
this is
things that it
really
helps us with.
yeah,
I think the first one, where it says recent feature evolution, I think it tells us where the activity is, where the work is going on. And user pain points is talking about where users are facing friction. And
Mm.
the very first one, business model friction, actually is now not just about code, but it's also telling a little bit about the business model and how users may not be happy with that. So
Yeah.
I think one of the things that I really feel that AI would do well is removing silos, queues
Mm.
and all, and people will be able to have wider knowledge of things. A developer may know about business, pure software development, testing, deployment, delivery, a lot of wider knowledge. And I think this is a great example of how AI can impact a developer's work by just increasing the amount of information or the view that a single person can get. That's quite awesome.
Mm. Gives us a very high level perspective of things and
Right.
helps us detach a bit from the code directly. It also talks about
Agreed.
what are the current commits about. So it did talk about how PWAs are being looked at, data security, internationalization. So this seems really interesting. A lot of useful insights there. And then the
This is
other
amazing.
part that we had asked. Yeah, good.
No, I was just going to say, and I think the other thing, looking at that, we are just limited by our imagination. So if we
Yeah.
can now, it talks about development focus area, but then we can also ask that we can change our uh, original prompt to introduce information about what are the hotspots. So which are the big files which are seeing a
Yes.
lot of changes, and maybe also analyze bugs to see which files have the higher bugs. So we can actually, as we maybe grow in our career, we can start using AI to understand which areas may have low-hanging fruits where the smaller fixes may get us very big
Mm.
results. But I do see your file is already ready for the next
Yep.
one. What do we have over here? Yeah, we can have a quick look at this.
So I think this is the next part where we had asked you to map the journey to business goals. And this part looks really nice. It actually talks about how conversion happens. So how it offers the first few signatures for free, and then it creates, it tries to push people to get the pro subscription, which for a business makes sense. And then it also is aligning what the customer success indicators are, how it can see like they're expanding retention drivers. Lot of useful information here actually.
Wow.
Oh, there's also a competitive advantages section that talks about how it is better than any other solution out there. The nice
This is
doc that I would
amazing.
say, not just for devs, I would even be happy looking at this from like a, I don't know, PM or someone who's not as connected to the code perspective. I think for them as well, this will be very useful information.
Right? Maybe we should add it in our list of to-dos, how these kind of prompts can help roles like product management, QA, and all different roles.
Yeah.
This is quite awesome. I think, and maybe one of the experiments we as a company can run is if we ran this prompt 10 times, how many
Mm.
times the document quality will be the same and
Yeah.
how will it change? But
Yeah.
what we have right now looks really awesome. And I see this being a problem when we work with different clients. Um, every single company and team that we are working with has so much of tribal knowledge that just
Mm.
comes with them because they've been working there for longer than the newer people.
Yeah.
I think something like this can definitely help new team members get onboarded faster and sort of give them a kickstart, accelerated kickstart to that journey of gaining all the knowledge which has been accumulated over time with other developers who may be working for years in the same team. This looks awesome.
Yeah.
And
We do have a
I see our
third
next
document created as well,
creator
as we were
also.
talking
Wow.
about it. So let me open the preview for that quickly. And this is the final section for today that we wanted to go over. But yeah, this is the codeways view, and I don't think we got to look at the prompt even for this. Claude finished creating it before we were done talking. But what the purpose of this specific step is to again create the high level architecture, talk about the lay of the land, basically how things are here. And then earlier we were mapping the user flows to the journey, but now we are trying to map the code to the journey so that I
Wow.
understand how the data or the control is flowing through the code. And then I had asked it to find a couple of important directories and starting points where I can, jump in and start doing things. Uh, so do we want to take a quick look at the output of this?
Sure, yeah, let's talk about it.
Yeah, let me open it up again. All right, this is our codebase view. It's starting with the high level architecture and then
Wow.
another ROR app. So it's talking about the version, Ruby version, classic MVC with ROR, front end. Oh, it uses Vue and Hotbar. I did not know this. Multiple DBs, okay. Okay. So this section, why I find this really useful is that when someone is being onboarded to a new project, we really want them to be up to date and really know their tech well. So far
Mm.
it's been like I've been going in and trying to find out things and document them manually. If I had this, I'd be like, just get me this information and I'll start learning about these things.
This is amazing.
Talks about the core architectural decisions. So being Rails, it's a monolith, has a hybrid front end. Oh, it has multi-tenancy too. Document processing, it uses Hexa PDF. Okay. And turbo streams for live updates. Nice. We have the code to user journey mapping. So if you remember, we were just looking at the dashboard index
User
on
journey
the,
earlier.
yeah. So it actually created the map directly, like the code path has been mapped directly to that. So I think
Yeah.
it,
So now I know if I want to make changes in authentication or account
yeah,
setup, where I have to go and what files to
yeah,
change. I think we already have our homework cut out for us. Maybe the next
yeah,
video should be, hey, give it a ticket number and see if it works or not. Or
yeah.
maybe at least does it suggest where to make changes or not? This is
Let's
wonderful.
go down. Starting points, core models, main controllers, business logic. I think this is very high level overview. Like, oh, nice. It talks about testing as well. It's giving us a quick overview, but I think a good next step, as you mentioned, could be, just pick up an issue and then try to solve it with Claude and with that will be fun.
We have our topic for our next video already
Yes.
lined up, it seems. So
Yep.
I think I'm gonna conclude by telling all the audience to keep watching, and I think our next video will cover how to pull issue directly from GitHub, and maybe start looking into how to fix those. But to conclude, I think what we saw today was that how we can make low risk, high impact usage, how we can use AI in low risk and high impact areas. And what we did today was started with a very high level, introduced me to the business, introduced me to the market, how the business works, sort of a prompt to, hey, now that I know about the business, tell me very high level information about business and the source code along with internal documentation, internal JIRA issues, internal um, pull requests that we have made. And finally, we said, hey, now that I know all of this, introduced me to the code as well,
Cool.
and I think it did that as well. That was
Mm,
wonderful.
yep.
Um, all these issues are committed and pushed on Incubate's open source code repositories. So I request everyone to click on the link in the video if you want to try these prompts yourself as well. Feel free to change them and open pull requests if you want to make more meaningful changes. And outside of that, it sounds like a wonderful idea. Keep looking for subscribe to our channel, and maybe we'll do one more video on making changes with AI by directly pulling issues from GitHub. And second, now that I have done it, can I review all my past pull requests and based on comments that people are giving, can I make sure I'll not make the same mistakes again, or I'll not make the mistakes that others have made? So create a high quality pull request. Let's see how AI can help us in those areas. That being said, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Abhishek.
Thank you, and we'll see you in the next one.
See you in the next one.